Hi, friends. Well, for a moment there, I thought I was going to share one of my '08 journals with you, but I guess not. Doesn't seem to be happening. So, here I am again. Different as usual. You are every day too. Now, whether you're noticing it or not, I guess depends on the space that you're in. What space are you choosing to inhabit? And not necessarily just the old head and heart dichotomy or whatever it is. I give up with fancy words. Those of you who, in addition to watching the last live journal I uploaded, clicked over to Scribed and read the additional journal that was there for you, saw how my English just fell into tatters. And I actually had fun watching it crash and crumble. I mean, I enjoy it. Why not? Language is to communicate. And the dictionary is a relatively recent invention. Maybe some of you don't know that. Some of you who haven't pursued English degrees. Before there was the dictionary, people wrote like they spoke, and they spelled phonetically. And the beauty of it was you could see and hear someone's accent in their written language. You could tell where they were from. And of course, transportation not being as fantastic as it is today, isolated communities were enabled to develop quite an accent in isolation. And so there was that beauty of it. And then along comes someone with this brilliant idea. Why don't we all spell things just the same? And so, like everything else, there's pluses and minuses that go along with that. One can no longer tell what part of the world a speaker, his body resides in. Oh well, I'll continue to butcher it. And so, but the point of it, that's mind, don't you think? Hello? We can look back and deconstruct the results of things. We can look back once we've gotten that breathing space between us and mind. You don't have to be in heart. You just have to well, I don't even know if you have to know this, but it's just good to know that you are not mind. It opens up whole new vistas that you can't see until you know, because until you know, it's mind doing the looking, and mind can't see that you are not mind, and it doesn't want to see it furthermore, and it will fight you. So there's that. Anyway, I was looking back at my life last night at certain happenings in it, which right now I'm not recalling which ones, but it was never clearer to me how good it is not to be able to see the future. Never clearer. Had I, as a young woman, seen what was laid out for me, as a young woman, wouldn't have been able to marshal the courage and the strength, wouldn't have had the confidence to believe I could even do it. I would have said no to so many things that were a part of my life. Those things that were the very making of me. Those things as a personality. Okay, come on. I am that, just like you are. But we also have this ride, this 3D thing, which can perhaps be seen as the other side of the coin of being source. I don't know, just be flexible. Be willing to look at things from odd angles. It's fun. Once we let go of mind. Now, it's not fun for mind. But anyway, what I saw was the real importance of being in now. I think there's a lot of us wanting to look ahead just now because we keep hearing of these wonderful things. It's been looked forward to for some millennia. All of these cycles closing at very closely the same time, quote unquote. I mean, a century in a millennia is not that much, and So we're not talking about getting down to calendar days and dates here. We're just talking about this is roughly the quote unquote time of the great shift. And so we want to look ahead, and we listen to those people who we think have been given a peek themselves, or who have spoken perhaps with light beings in other dimensions who would be better able to see perhaps what's oncoming, or at least better able to see into 3D, that kind of thing. And so we've been off chasing our tails, friends. I mean, look at that. Is that not mind? Wanting to know what's ahead? What good would it do? It's not relevant to now. Now just is, right? I mean, I don't have all the answers. That's one of the things I'm here to say. I well and truly, okay, let me rephrase it. I do have all the answers, but so do you, and so does everyone else. Now, are those answers accessible to conscious mind? Not. Maybe mastery of 3D will even take it out of the spiritual realm. I'm beginning to see that there's no benefit to being spiritual. Now, maybe that sounds nuts, but I'm sure it'll come out over time where I'm coming from on that. Just being doesn't have to have any qualities such as spiritual. Just being is fine. And when we are being from that central core of us, which is divine, we don't have to worry about anything. All of this right and wrong, good and bad, and all of these things, spiritual and non-spiritual and secular, these were inventions of mind in order to know how to go about, because it doesn't have the internal direction. It doesn't have the internal compass of heart, or whatever you want to call it. Give it your words. Okay? Let's not nitpick the words. Not at all. Listen from deep within, and you won't find yourself doing that. And I truly welcome questions in the comments, and even things that you see that bother you. Don't be afraid to address something with me. You might be surprised at what flows back to you on the return current. Give it a go. Anyway, being in now. There's nothing more precious, but it's a letting go, isn't it? It's a letting go of the titillation that we seek in what is ascension and what's happening and when's it coming, and are the ETs going to be a part of it, and yada yada yada, right? There's a titillation to it. And did any of it ever come true precisely as predicted? I haven't noticed that it has. People say that on the solstice and on the equinox, in other words, the December date and the March date, that, they expected, doorways to open, heaven to descend, or us to ascend, or something. Okay, that's true. A lot of that expectation was out and about. Now, I'm a person who's open to anything. I say and continue to say, anything is possible. I'm not shutting the door on anything. However, what feels right to me is not to hold expectations. That's better. That's just much better. And even accepting it as an idea, as a good idea, before being able to implement it, that's fine too. We take whatever steps that we can, and each step that we take is perfect, okay? Everything is much more perfect than mind has a clue about. But until we get that distance from mind, we're not seeing it. We see imitations, we see inventions, we see, hopeful projects that people launch and so on. But it's perfect, just as it is. It doesn't need to be anything else than what it is. Things don't want to be rejected. When we're having a challenge, and of course I include myself, with something internally, that thing wants to be warmly embraced, including your fears. It's okay. There's something under the fear there, okay? There's something under there that needs to be looked at, and is most often a release button for the fear. Hating it, looking down on it, self-criticizing yourself for having it, not wanting it, all of that kind of stuff isn't constructive. So, I don't know. It's hard to speak about fear because when it's with you, oftentimes it's so intense, like being in the midst of a nightmare. I guess the best thing is to be able to watch. When all else fails, just self-observe, guys. There's always something in it for you to just self-observe. And if you can self-observe from heart, heart will speak with you. Heart speaks with you every nanosecond. Heart's communion is, oh God, it's also miraculous here. It's also intensely beautiful. And it's there for us. We've just been taught to believe a bunch of other bunk. Nonsense. Things suitable to keeping us as a nice herd of sheeple, keeping us in line and easily manageable. Nice little consumers, Well, there's no need to hate that either. There really isn't. Why not laugh instead? Why not laugh and rejoice at your freedom from that whole thing, that whole matrix? There can always be a choice for joy. Even in the midst of real ugliness, there can still be a choice for joy, and it's not a mind thing. See, that joy, I guess, I don't know. Is it an aspect of love? I don't know. It's just ever present. It's just always there. And mind unplugs from it. When it builds certain structures of beliefs, it kind of insulates itself from perceiving it. Now, to mind, this is okay because mind is very excited about what it's seen, which is not in now, so it wants to build something towards something, or undo something, or whatever. Mind is not a now creature. It's in the future, it's in the past. It doesn't have much use for the present moment. It gets bored. That's not you getting bored. You cannot be bored. It's not a possibility. Feel some of the response to that. It's the false creation. The you that we know, the you that mind manufactures in creating its structures, trying to improve things. You ever look around and see how much we mess up in the midst of trying to improve it? You know? Even thinking that we can control the weather. Well, everyone's journey is their own. And we go about it in our own unique way. And right now, I think a very big part of the freedom that we can have and that we can give to one another is respect. Respect for the other guy and the way he puts his dominoes on the table, the way he crafts his reality, his beliefs, his way of life, or hers. And so we don't attack someone for their beliefs. It's mind attacking mind. That's what all of that stuff is about. When we step out, give ourselves some space, recognizing that we have a mind, we are not the mind. We grow up in a New York minute, you know? All of a sudden, we find a maturity that just isn't a product of mind. It isn't an asset of mind. Mind is more like a toddler next to who and what we really are. It's a tool whose use has gone, well, their words. It's a tool whose use has gone wrong in some ways. Now, I don't believe in right and wrong, so, but what can I say, you know? I don't have perfect answers. You are the only one that has the perfect answers for you. And you can't go to somebody else to put it together for you. It's fun to listen to the somebody else's, but none of their stuff is going to fit you just right. As I think we've all already found. Suddenly it's quiet in here. I'm getting high. Very strange, looking at the camera, just as if I'd taken something. You know? Reality just ain't what we think it is. And it's such a freedom to accept that, to come to know that, to really realize that we can let go and that we can know nothing, and that's the best place, that's the best state, that's just wonderful. With Socrates and others, two things we can know. One, that we are, I am, not what it is, but that it is. And the other, that I don't know anything, not real, not really. Mind is full of a bunch of stuff and structures and beliefs and so on, but I don't know that any of that is the case. And when we let go of trying to be perfect and trying to find and have all the answers, to be illumined and all that kind of thing, and just deal with what is instead, and just find our contentment in now. I don't know. Maybe that's awakening. I don't know. There's all different kinds of ideas around what this awakening thing is. I don't know. Do we need to know? seems to me it just takes care of itself. I like the way Adya Shanti tells of it. You know, the falling away just falls away. That stuff that's feeling like the dark night of the soul and so heavy and depressing and just burdening and so on, that's the death of the unreality in your world. And to the extent that we've identified with it, and friends, we all have, it hurts. It feels like we're dying. We're not. We can't. It's dying. That's not you. That doesn't mean that you can get a pass and not go to school today and not deal with it, you know? You still deal with it. I guess the saying before and after enlightenment, we chop wood and carry water, says a lot. Mind is like a little child building tinker toys and wanting to stack its blocks up to the moon. And there's nothing wrong with that. The challenge comes when we believe it. And so, let's question that. Not for mind, though. You know, I like the little question mark and it says question everything, but don't do it from mind. That's never ending. That's the hamster wheel. Do it from deeper within.